Good day, this is the character sheet I want to be changing over. We're going to be starting by explaining things as quickly and concisely as I possibly can. This video might end up being about 10 minutes long, but it will be detailed. We're going to start here on the top left, looking at health. This is our current health display right here. This is our total or maximum health. Your base is where we would need to have a input that also displayed what the input was with a plus and minus button to increase by 1. Base is single digits, so 0 through 9. Base is going to be double digits necessary, so we would have to have up to 99 characters. Equip and modifications or mods are the same thing. A display that doubles as the current number. The total of these three numbers needs to go into the total here for the maximum, so it'll be x plus y plus z. And whatever your current health is would also need to have an input bar with a plus minus. Individual clicks on the plus minus would raise or lower by 1 correspondingly. But putting a number inside this and pressing plus or minus should reduce the current health or increase the current health by that said number. Temporary health, similar to current health, should have an input box that doubles as the display, with a plus minus or the options to change the numbers, again in double digits. For defense, you can ignore the checkboxes for armor and shield, they're not important. Damage reduction non-physical is also something we'll touch on later, but almost every armor has damage reduction physical. So this is a parameter that needs to be given to each armor. This reduces the number of attack damage from a physical source. Armor also gives bonus health to the equipment slot. So wearing armor gives you bonus health in the equip and gives you a damage reduction value here. This damage reduction value will need to have the plus minus input and display combined. There should be an option to add another type of damage reduction, and the types to add from would be ether, fire, air, water, earth, light, and shadow. We should be able to select one of these damage types, and let's say damage reduction will pop up below this one of damage type, and then with its own input box for that damage type. Other effects would just be something we can input manually or possibly from a click and drag compendium, but that would be the more advanced parts that we'll be looking at later. Those would be things like armor gives resistance, physical. This could just be a simple input bar for text. It does not need plus minus. It does need to have options to have text applied and the abilities to have separated lines. The next partition is dodge, where we have the total, similar to the total of health up here, being x plus y plus z, where x and y and z are dice, base, and mods. Base and mods do the plus minus as above with the equip and mods here. So we can increase this by a set number, or we can just increase it by clicking or minusing each individual one. The dice is always 1d6. This can be increased, but it always increases the number 1. Never changes the d6. This does not change, only the number. So you can have 1, or you could have 4, or you could have 2 or 3. So this needs to have the increase of a plus minus button. Each plus or minus would be increasing or decreasing the total. Then the total here would need to have a roll button. And the roll button would display the dice roll plus the results in the total. So this is going to be working as a display of the total amount, and this will be the display of the rolled amount. Coming over to the right hand side of the sheet, similar to before, the skill saves are the not combat options. They are things like your strength check or dexterity. We have 7 columns to go across: power, reflexes, guts, charm, smarts, psyche, and wits. base and mods in total, which is x plus y equals z. Okay, so if it was 1 plus 2, then the total is 3. If it's 0 and 0, the total is 0. These should be single-digit increases, so 0 to 9 is an option, but the last one would have to be double digits as a result of it, because we could be going up to 18. On the right-hand side here, we have these check boxes. This means dubs, means roll this check twice and choose the result that you want. So they need to have roll buttons for each one, and they need to have a display. Potentially, it could be through the total. The aesthetics of the sheet can be changed later. The coding has to be solid though. So the rolls buttons need to be for each individual check, and we need to have a display that will be displaying not just one, but both dice results if necessary. So your basic result and your dubs result. But the second one only shows up if they have dubs checked. Whenever they make any roll, if they have dubs, then the dubs will apply to all the rolls that they have. And it should be as simple as click on, click dubs, or click off and just click roll. And the display of the 2 dice or 1 dice always comes up. I did not mention it's always a d6 plus your total. So all skill saves always use 1d6. This 1d6 does not change like dodge. It stays always 1d6. And we need the roll buttons for each of them and the display for the totality. Speed is base plus mods, and they would need to have a minus plus key, or possibly the display to input and just change the number, where the total is x plus y being displayed. Half the total rounded down comes over here. So if this was 6, half of it is 3. This is the movement speed when terrain is difficult. It's important to have it displayed. It does not have to necessarily be displayed all the way onto the right side, just that we want to have it somewhere. Timing is like your initiative or your turn order. Similar to skill saves, it always has a d6, and that d6 does not change. We have a total of x and y, where x is your base and y is your mods. Base comes from if you are nude and not equipped or doing anything special, whereas mods would be I'm equipped with this thing, which gives me a modification bonus. These should be simple inputs as well for the plus/minus, or even the display box to set the number, but the +/-1 should definitely be a parameter there, and this needs to be able to go into the double digits. Action points. All characters start with 5 action points on your turn. If your turn ends with any amount, you get +1 action point on your next turn. So if we use 4 action points and we have 1 left over, next turn this one would also be available. You have max 10 per turn, so you can level up your character to gain more action points as a solid for each turn that you have. And the floating box would still need to be onto the side. So there's technically an 11 if you have +1 carried over from the turn before. When players make actions, they require action points. We'll go over that in the common attack section. But for now, everybody would need to have 5, and preferably we would need to have a way to track it so we can click how many have come off. So a simple click option on each to say that it's been used, or a +/- option across the board that if I just click the plus or the minus, it would just add or take away from. We'll head over to common attacks. For attacks, all attacks use AP cost. Then they deal a 1d6 or 2d6 if they are light or heavy, respectively, plus base bonuses, plus equip bonuses, plus mods. So equip will come from the item itself. Mods come from having training. with something, and bases as if you were nude. There are 3 types of weapons. We have melee, ranged, and ether that all have the light or heavy options. Melee weapons have short range. The 1d6 is a light weapon, costs 2 AP to make an attack, and 2d6 for the heavy, costs 3 AP to attack. Range weapons and ether weapons follow the same amount of damage, but ether weapons deal ether damage. The damage type is different because melee and range both deal physical damage. So similarly, 1d6 and 2d6 across the board. Range weapons and ether weapons cost more action points to use. Range weapons start at a 5-unit range. Ether start at a 3-unit range. These parameters need to be able to be increased for the range, especially for the ranged item. It can go up to the double digits. But for the ether weapon, single digits are fine. For melee weapons, range is not a consideration. It's always just melee, or melee +1, which would be called reach. It would be nice if when I clicked my light melee weapon attack, the action points just automatically reduced by 2. Or if I click my heavy melee weapon attack, the action points removed by 3. And if I finish my turn with a +1, it would be nice if this square colored itself in immediately, so I knew that next turn I had 6 available. If that's not really an option that's applicable right now, that's okay. It's just something that would be a nice aesthetic to finish off with. Lastly, we have basically 2 sides of the page. Well, 3 sides of the page. We have the middle, the left, and the right. The hard data I would like in the middle, but for this side, I would like to have the displays and roll boxes on the left. So for dodge, I need to have the display and roll option over here. For damage reduction, I like to actually have the inputs on this side. For temporary health, I would like on this side. For current health, on this side. For skill saves, speed, and timing, I like to have all the parameters, such as the roll button and the displays, on this side, on the right-hand side. But for any of these variables, for like the core information, that should be centered towards the middle. So the edges of each side count for all the dice rolls and display parameters, whereas the hard information to look at is here in the middle. Later on, I would like to consider having a drag and drop compendium where I can take from one source and drag it from one area to another area and have all the data in between go automatically across the sheet. This could be a later stage development. Lastly, we need to have a name for the player as an input alphabetically, and a name for the character, as well as one for their species, or race, as it's commonly referred to. I'm using the term species here. So we have 3 separate input parameters of text boxes for these 3 options across the top. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I'd be glad to try to answer them. Thank you for your time.